and being good at it.
$300 billion.
Here's season 2, episode 40. Get off my lawn. Ana Kasparian was disparaging me, and it's always fun when someone disparages you because you realize how incompetent they are. Most journalists today, because it's something you know a lot about, you. So when they do your hometown or a band that you grew up listening to or a company you worked for or you yourself, you just go through all the mistakes and you go, wow, is this how you talk about others? Because you don't know what you're talking about. Ana Kasparian has a show called No Filter that no people watch, and she's got some videos. Her videos usually get about 1,000 views. But she's a liberal, and I tried to get her on my show. Or I should say the company that I hired to get guests tried to get her on my show. I subcontract that out. I don't have time to sit there trying to get the squirrels to nibble. But it really is like that with liberal guests. Folks, in case you don't know, if you have a show that is not 1,000% Antifa, you cannot get liberal guests. Everyone pays liberal guests if you're conservative. Tucker Carlson, you ever wonder how he gets all those libs and Antifa guys on his show? He has to pay them money. They don't like going on right-wing shows because they tend to lose. Now, I've so far managed to find the only liberals with balls like Cornel West and Mark Lamont Hill and Dr. Michael Dyson. But it takes work, and it often takes money. So I gave these guys a budget. I said, go get me some liberal guests. Getting conservative guests will be a cinch. The conservatives never even ask who they're on with. They're like, I'll debate anyone. I'll talk to anyone. But the left doesn't like free speech. They don't like the show in general because they can't control the narrative. My problem with America today is it's polarized, and the left is managing to separate us. And we're canceling Thanksgiving, we're canceling Christmas. So the impetus for this show is let's get the left and the right in a room and see what they disagree on. They often agree. Milo and Dr. West both want reparations. Malkin and Dyson fought about that and didn't get along when it came to that subject. And often I will lose, like Mark Lamont Hill got me on my definition of racism, where I use an analogy to describe the Irish. And then when he used Islam, I said, Islam isn't a race. And he goes, oh, but Irish is a race? Ta-da, you got me. That's healthy. But in this epoch of mental obesity, the left doesn't want to discuss. And they hide their cowardice by saying, I don't want to give Nazism a platform. I've already got a platform, babe. And by the way, the reason I'm doing this video is because these people just made me, I think, about $100,000, right? I got 1,000 new subscribers since this controversy came up. And the controversy is David Pakman, Sam Cedar, and Ana Kasparian saying they're not coming on my show. Even though David and Sam said yes. And Ana, I believe she said yes also. I can't really remember. These guys relay it to me and they go, I think we got blah, blah, blah. And we have many more liberals coming on the show, but I'm not going to tell you their names because they will get harassed by their fun-loving friends on the left. So here are 3 people that my interview guest, whatever company, tried to get, and they are spilling all the beans. Let's spill.
In May, I received an offer to appear as a guest on Gavin McInnes' new show.
Correct.
The offer was different from other interview requests for 2 reasons. First, it came from someone I have absolutely no respect for and would never want to be associated with.
Just pause.
I'll explain.
You're not associated with me if you're on my show. Like, is Richard Spencer associated with CNN because he went on CNN? David Duke was on CNN. Are they now associated with CNN? I don't understand. You're just debating someone. It doesn't matter that I happen to be the one hosting the debate. Why is that relevant? Anyway.
And why in just a minute. Second, he offered me $7,000 plus paid travel and accommodations to New York. I rejected the request. As much as I could use the money, and I could use the money, I'm way too savvy to...
I noticed David Pakman talked like this too.
Hi, this is Anthony Cumia.
And hello, I am Gavin McInnes.
Together, we're Compound Censored.
And we'd like you to subscribe to our network that has more fantastic content you could shake a stick at. Use this promo code for a one-time super offer.
Do it. It's uncensored and oh so entertaining.
About how excited they were to see such a large bill and how freaked out they were. Well, there's money in this, I guess. I mean, you guys made me $100,000 by talking about it with free advertising. Thank you.
Help a despicable human being launder his image and reputation for promoting violence. So let me contextualize this. You've heard me talk about
the entire thesis of this video is that I'm trying to launder my image. I've got my own platform here. I'm not reaching out to anyone. I don't have a publicist trying to get me on shows. I've got my show. So this whole hypothesis that I'm out to launder my image is patently false. The reason that I was getting these guests on is, in a sense, to launder their image. When I say they, I don't mean the individuals. I mean the left in general. I'm saying, let's get you guys talking and let's humanize both sides. And it's got nothing to do with me. I'm done. I'm fine. I'm set for life. I'm not out there trying to hustle and get talked about. I got 3 kids, plenty of money. I don't understand what you're talking about. You're the one who needs to get out there. You got 1,000 views per video. I have 350,000 subscribers on YouTube. Anyway, go ahead.
Nature of the right-wing grift. Donald Trump's demagogic nature emboldened the worst elements of the right wing to unleash their worst characteristics for attention and profit seeking.
Pause. This is also a common thing, right? The zombies, the white supremacist zombies were lying under the soil. Then Trump said, Nosferatu Sundio Slaskados, and said a chant, and they all went, and said, I can finally do this. And then they always say they're doing it for money. I've always made money, but it's despite being an outspoken and controversial person, obviously. Like losing my ad agency, getting fired from The Blaze, getting ousted from Vice. Was that all a ploy to make money? It's not profitable to not toe the liberal line. You don't get on shows. You don't get invited to things. Look at Alan Dershowitz. He dared to defend Trump and had his finances flushed down the toilet. Like, I can't go on a tour of Australia because of all this controversy. So it's not lucrative to support Trump. That's a real hole in your plot. But you know what just popped into my head? David, Sam, and Anna, well, mostly David and Sam, brought me 1,000 subscribers. We just broke 10,000. This one controversy, David and Sam made me 10% of my annual gross. Am I doing the math right? We have 10,000. They brought me 1,000. Yeah. This video is a thank you to them. And I'm sure Anna was going to add another few hundred, which when you multiply by 100 is thousands.
Gavin McInnes falls under this new wave of deplorable shock jocks.
That's fair.
McInnes started the so-called Proud Boys, where he publicly...
Just pause. How are we so-called? Is she saying they're called the Proud Boys, but they're either not proud or not boys? That's what the group is called. The so-called Trinitarios. They're not really the Trinitarios. Go ahead.
Encouraged violence, spewed misogynistic rhetoric, and viciously attacked powerless and
The first two are true. I did encourage violence, but in the context of self-defense. I said, when we get attacked, we need to start fighting back. We're letting people beat the crap out of us. And if you can recall, this is during the 2016 election where people with MAGA hats were getting bottled in the face, were getting violently attacked all over the country, and they were sitting there and taking it. And I was saying, don't just take it. Now, this part about viciously attacked power, and by the way, why does this have subtitles? What is the point of this? I don't understand. You can click subtitles on YouTube, can't you? Why is our subtitles basically 50% of the visuals here? But yeah, when did we viciously attack powerless and disenfranchised groups of people? You mean like handicapped people? I said, let's go out and kill some cripples. Or like albinos? Who are the disenfranchised people I was attacking? But yes, it definitely, by her definition of misogyny, I did say women wouldn't be happier at home. That's considered misogynist rhetoric. And did she say misogynistic, by the way, in the previous thing? I hate that word. Anyway, and as far as encouraging violence, you got to put it into context, babe. But anyway, go ahead.
Disenfranchised groups of people.
Their rallying cry is what they call Western chauvinism.
Correct. Look at this, by the way. Listen, look, just stop. They're talking about how deadly this group is, and they're showing a bunch of guys. This division of Proud Boys, by the way, call themselves the Margarita Boys, and they don't wear Fred Perry's, they wear Hawaiian shirts, and they say, I refuse to apologize for having a margarita or something like that. for ordering mixed drinks. I forget their mantra, but they're singing "Proud of Your Boy" from Aladdin. Is it conceivable that there is an element of humor to this group, and they are not the scary looming threat you're making them out to be? Like, you might want to check your video before you release it. Probably you can find some scary video of a punch or something. Not "Proud of Your Boy" with Hawaiian shirts. Ooh, I'm scared of these guys. They're going to drink all my margaritas. Hey, we're out of salt. Were the Margarita Boys here?
Is Gavin McInnes, known for what some call incendiary claims,
Yes.
like these from his Rebel Media show.
Be dubious of Muslims. If you see something, say
Just
something.
pause. 1 in 4 American Muslim men think between the ages of 18 and 25, think suicide bombing is sometimes or often justified. That is a wildly disproportionate number for this small group. So you should be aware of that statistic. And when you see a Muslim person discussing something that sounds terroristic, that's not as bad as misogynistic. It's a real word. You should be a little more dubious. Say there's an Amish guy and a Muslim guy. Who is more likely to commit terror? Remember, what's his name? Juan Williams got fired from NPR because he said he feels uncomfortable when he sees Muslims praying in the gate of his airplane, like waiting at the gate, and he sees them all wearing Muslim gear and praying. He says it makes me uncomfortable. Fired. Fired for what? Being savvy? Anyway, go ahead.
The data says that women have become less happy
That's a fact.
since feminism.
I can show you the study.
Okay? And I blame them being ripped out of the kitchen.
Yeah, that's my opinion. And what's so scary about my opinion, by the way? I think they'd be happier at home. I will not appear in your show. And by the way, point number 652. My show is just you, a liberal, talking to a conservative. I'm just the bartender sitting in the background. So if we're so evil and so useless, why won't you talk to us? Why won't you destroy our ideas? Because they can't survive in the marketplace of ideas. They cannot win. They know they'll lose, so they say, I'm not going to step in the ring with him because it gives his boxing gloves hate juice. That's why. It's not because I'm scared to fight. And that's a metaphor. Relax.
In the 2 years since the Proud Boys founding, fair or not, violence has seemed to follow.
Just pause. Violence has seemed to follow. So they'll just go to a restaurant and violence will appear. Now you're showing a riot, by the way. I think is that Berkeley? I'm not sure. But in places like the Pacific Northwest, Antifa are terrorizing people. We just had a guy that almost committed a mass shooting, almost killed 100 people. If that bomb had gone off and there was a crowd there, it would have killed 100 people. So Portland is already incredibly violent. What you're showing here is someone who dared to fight back against people who were terrorists, that were destroying property, that were attacking conservative speakers. So yeah, if they defend Ann Coulter at a talk and there's a kerfuffle as Antifa try to pepper spray her like they pepper sprayed me, is that violence seeming to follow? At NYU, when I was pepper sprayed and Proud Boys fought back against the Antifa mobs who were trying to kill me, is that violence following us everywhere we go? Yeah, I guess. Violence follows Proud Boys because Antifa follow Proud Boys. Here's the thing. Proud Boys don't go to their things. Antifa comes to our things. Is that one little detail alone not proof that the violence is on the other side?
Their wake in Portland, Seattle.
And then
just
pause. And here, so Portland and Seattle, two Antifa-run towns, as we just saw with that terrorist attack. And then you're showing a talk I did in New York where Antifa ambushed Proud Boys, threw glass bottles of urine at them, and are now facing years in prison for defending themselves. That's an example of a reckless, violent hate group. Nice math.
In New York, where after a speech McInnes gave at the Metropolitan Republican Club,
Correct.
This violent confrontation broke out.
Correct.
The Southern Poverty Law Center labeled the Proud Boys as a hate group.
Pause. The Southern Poverty Law Center is also being sued, and 7,000 people raised a total of $261,000, I believe. So 7,000 people agree with me that I should sue them because they are a hate group. Since I have launched that suit, the founder was fired, the president quit, and the head of legal quit. They are a corrupt and the evil hate group, and they are crumbling after I pushed back at their ridiculous allegations. And why is my suit going forward, and why does my suit have so much support if their criticism is valid? Shouldn't it just be thrown out? Explain this to me, please, Anna.
And when comedy video editor Vic Berger put out compilation...
Pause. Comedy video editor. This sounds like a reliable editor.
Showing how often McInnes incited physical violence, the group actually retaliated by sending members to Berger's home as an act of intimidation. According to the Huffington Post, a tipster sent Berger an internal document from within the Proud Boys' network, which called on all members to find Berger's personal information and threaten him. The message specifically read, quote, "Let's get the social media profile."
Pause. This is what Antifa does on a daily basis. They dox people. So Proud Boys apparently said we should dox them back. They also come to people's homes. The guy who organized that pro-Constitution rally in Philly got a brick thrown through his window. So these guys, and I don't advocate this, by the way, these guys said, let's go to his house. And this was after, by the way, not the video that Vic Berger made that she's talking about, but after Vic Berger doxed A Night for Freedom and almost had a man killed by Antifa. So he got doxed after doxing. That's the way these things work, unfortunately.
Phone numbers and addresses for their bosses, mothers, fathers, boyfriends,
Just
sisters.
pause. I have a list that I'll be bringing up in court of 35 Proud Boys who have been fired because they were doxxed by Antifa and the alt-left and people that support the Young Turks bombarded their bosses. Sometimes they were fired not because the boss thought they were part of a hate group, but because they just couldn't take the harassment anymore. They said, you got to get out of here. As Ezra Levant said about me after I was fired from the Blaze, you got a swarm of bees around you, dude. Get away from me. But when you sick bees on people, bees come to you too.
Others and get to work. Let's show them there are consequences. Soon, a member of the group showed up to Berger's home. Berger told the Huffington Post that, quote, "When I answered the door, he seemed nervous, like he wasn't expecting me. It was the middle of the day and my wife was home. He said, 'Are you Vic? Your videos are hurting a lot of people. You're really hurting the Proud Boys. You need to stop making these videos.'" Ooh. Berger yelled for his wife to call 911 and reported the guy. Eventually, McInnes...
For what? Wait a minute. For what? What was the report? I don't advocate going to anyone's house, ever. I'm very against doxing. I've been doxed. But this guy, apparently after Vic Berger was doxing things, getting people almost killed, someone went to his house and said, you should stop doing that. This is an example of this horrific hate group that encourages violence to disenfranchise individuals. And what is the implication she's saying here, too, when he was surprised to see Vic Berger home? Which is just his theory, by the way, that he was going there to beat up his wife? No. And, by the way, Antifa did this to Tucker Carlson. A mob of them went to his house and did terrorize his wife. She had to lock herself in the pantry and call 911 as they vandalized his home, broke in his door and spray painted on his driveway, chanting, "No borders, no wall, no USA at all." That's a violent group. This is the worst you got, that someone said, hey, man, you need to stop making those videos. You're really hurting people.
Brand became so toxic that he was fired from the right-wing website The Blaze, and the Proud Boys were deplatformed from social media sites.
True.
Let me just show you what that toxicity really looks like.
Okay.
If you're wearing a MAGA hat, as Sal is right now, Sal's in the studio, folks.
Oh my God, it's Sal Cipolla. Where are you from?
On here.
Wow, you came a long way.
If you're wearing a MAGA hat, and some guy with a slightly punk demeanor comes up to you and says, hey, are you Sal or are you pro-Trump? Choke him. Trust your instincts. Don't listen to what
here's
he
a little
has.
minor detail. The DA just subpoenaed all my show. They got a judge's order from Compound Media to get all these tapes. So I think what happened is they had the Vic Berger video, and now they're using this video. Isn't this funny? The guy went to his house and said, you should stop making these videos. You're getting a lot of people in trouble. Now there are 3 men who are facing a long prison term, possibly 14 years. 7 to 14 of the numbers they're throwing around. This is for defending themselves in an ambush. And they want to use Vic Berger's video, but they can't because he's a comedy editor who takes things out of context for a living. So the judge's order is to get all of these shows so they can show these clips individually. And the irony is, if you are to show this clip individually, I'm talking about rallies
where Antifa comes up and pretends they want to talk, and then they bottle you or spray you in the face. So I'm saying don't fall for it. If someone seems like they're from the other side of the rally, they're there to choke you, so you should choke them back. And we've seen this happen a million times. Did you see the weapons confiscated in Portland? I think these people are bourgeois, and they've never been to one of these things, and they think that it's just me saying, go get him, go get him, go get him. I'm saying, defend yourself, defend yourself. These people are psycho. Like, have they seen the bike lock? Have they seen the murders? We talked about this in another show. The people that have been killed by Antifa, that Dutch guy who was against immigration, murdered. Frank Magnet's near dead. And then, of course, there's all the suicides when Antifa realizes that they're going to jail for the stupid terrorism that they were forced to do or brainwashed into doing. Anyway, tangent.
Him. If I do a video where I say, how about we start throwing bricks? Is that legal? You can't call for violence on a specific person, but can you say they're throwing bricks? We should throw bricks.
What's the matter with you?
Can you call for violence generally? Because I am. Fighting solves everything.
Just pause. This also shows how bourgeois they are. Go look up Fighting Solves Everything. It's on every boxing gym. It's on every T-shirt. It's a blue-collar saying, but they've never heard it anywhere but from my mouth. So they think that I'm saying, go out there and just fucking fuck them up. Just kill people. Fighting solves everything. Fighting back solves everything. And that's what is implied in the very common and well-known phrase, fighting solves everything. Every boxing gym I've ever been to says it on the wall. And I'm fighting right now, and I'll never stop fighting for free speech.
We need more violence from the Trump people.
She's showing a comedy editor's video. And just pause. This that you just saw, right? We need more violence. And then I brandish a sword. It's a plastic toy sword that's broken that was from a comedy sketch I did where we lampooned the socialist movement and reenacted an assassination. The same kind of joke with Pinochet and the helicopters that no one on the left gets. And that's why they do that joke. They do the Pinochet joke because it triggers them. They do this because it triggers the left. Do you know what this means? It means I like triggering the left because they're psychos.
The Trump people.
And sorry, everyone there that when I got to the car, they threw a bottle of piss at the car, which will be coming up in court, and to defend these guys, I mean. And they're screaming fascist, like bloodthirsty screams. I think they were getting paid to get a fight going because they were determined. And so I pull out a plastic sword and I yell, Otoya Yamaguchi forever, making fun of them. The left has lost its sense of humor. This was a very funny moment, believe it or not.
Supporters choke.
After McInnes faced some consequences for his actions, he decided to announce his exit from the Proud Boys.
As of today, November 21st, 2018. Some consequences. Yeah, just pretty minor consequences like this guy with a black wife and black kids, John, losing his job and facing 14 years in prison for defending himself. Just a few consequences. I had to separate myself from them because they were trying to make out that Proud Boys were a gang, and you can't have a gang without a leader. I was never the leader of the Proud Boys. I was the founder. I liked drinking with those guys. But if me saying that I'm not the leader hurts their gang case, then I'm a-doing it. That's a pretty big consequence. 10 men arrested, all facing serious prison time. We're down to 3 now. Everyone got away with community service and probation. Now we have 3 facing serious prison time. That's a pretty serious consequence, my dear. Have you ever faced an iota of consequence in your life? Do you know what it's like to be constantly attacked, to be doxxed, to have your children and your wife attacked? No, I don't think you do. And you never will, because you're on the left. You're on the side of the insane mob. Now, I don't want this video to come across as I see all of the left as the alt-left. I'm talking about the freaks who seem to have polluted much of the left. But again, on my show, I am in a quest to find the sane left. If the metaphor was jihadism, I'd be looking for the moderate Muslims and show that the moderate Muslims, the moderate left and the right can discuss things. The Antifa stuff, getting these guys thrown in jail, that's not moderate. That's extremism. And these are not small consequences. Go ahead. I'm officially disassociating myself from the Proud Boys. In all capacities, forever, I quit. I do all of this reluctantly because I still see it as the greatest fraternal organization in the world. Decent. But rumors and lies and terrible journalism has... Isn't it funny that we're in a piece of terrible journalism? As I say, rumors and lies and terrible journalism, as she spreads rumors and lies and does terrible journalism.
Made its way to the court system. And the NYC-9...
Is this a video for me? I feel like I'm coming across pretty good in this.
Proud Boys arrested after I did a talk here in New York on October 12th are facing serious charges. I'm told by my legal team and law enforcement that this gesture could help alleviate their sentencing.
I've noticed that a lot of Trump-era trash in digital media is doing its best to save whatever's left of their reputations. In other words, they're trying to clean up their images.
Just pause. I'm not trying to clean up shit. I haven't changed my mind about anything. I've always said what I feel, and when people push back on it, I explain it. I still think trans people are mentally ill gays. I'm not going on some apology tour saying, no, I think there are multiple genders. I've changed. I never said I changed. All I ever said was, you got the story wrong.
One of the ways they seek to do that is by having legitimate people in media or politics go on their shows to launder their dirt-stained past. I wasn't the only person on the left who was offered thousands of dollars to make a guest appearance on McInnes' show.
Pause. I think the story should be here that liberals are so reluctant to have a discussion that you have to pay them thousands of dollars to come on a show, and they still refuse. And is my image laundered if Ana Kasparian has a debate on my platform? Am I good now? Am I cool with the Ana crowd? I don't think I'll ever be cool with the Ana crowd. And by the way, I've noticed on the comments on Pacman and Cedar and her videos, I haven't seen the comments on her, but on Cedar's and Pacman's, it's all their fans going, why don't you just do it, you pussy? Why don't you just take the money, give it to charity if you think the money's so disgusting, and just go there and have a discussion and win the debate? I think they've genuinely lost this tattletaling.
Here's Sam Cedar from the Majority Report discussing a similar offer he received.
We were wondering if Sam would accept our invite to be on the show.
He did.
The show is a panel discussion that will have a conservative and a liberal on every show to discuss the current events and politics for about an hour. We can pay for Sam's travel and stay.
Yeah.
Plus pay him $5,000 to be on the show.
David Pacman,
the way these guys talk about money implies that they don't have a lot. If $5,000 makes your eyeballs bulge and your hair fall out, you have an income problem.
another progressive member of the media who I've had on this show recently, also received an offer.
What's going on behind the scenes is that Gavin McInnes' program, I don't know where they get the money. But
well, you just gave me $100,000, so that's where we get the money.
offering to pay guests to come on. Now, this is not typically done. We have never paid a guest. We've had, what, 1,500 interviews that have done.
Leftist show.
We've had like 2 or 3 people ask for money. We've never paid. We just never pay for guests. Every time I appear on CNN, Fox News, I'm never paid for those appearances, okay? The Gavin McInnes program is apparently so desperate to get people to appear on this.
That's correct. We are desperate for liberals. Everyone is desperate for liberals. Liberals tend to be cowardly. And so you have to, they also tend to be broke apparently. And so you're forced to pay money to get them on the show. Talk to Tucker's people. It's a huge pain in the ass, which is why I farmed it out to a separate company.
Program.
And they have a hell of a time, by the way.
That they reached out to me through my manager and offered, I'm not going to say how much, but a lot of money for me to appear on the program.
What made the offer to Pacman so incredible is that as he was considering appearing on the show, McInnes called into his program pretending to
That's a lie.
be a liberal fan of Pacman's in an effort to persuade him that McInnes is okay, that his show is great.
I believe that I have caught extremist right-winger and Proud Boy founder Gavin McInnes calling into the show pretending to be someone else in order to promote his new program.
A guy I despise came up on my YouTube the other day on a commercial, Gavin McInnes, on this new show, Free Speech, and I was trying to click out of it right away.
Now, no one thinks that someone who they're told sounds like them, so I'm obviously biased here, but that doesn't sound like me at all. Ryan, what do you think?
I've never thought that sounded like you, and then I tried to force myself, and I was like, maybe kind of...
Like, here, play it back, and I'll say what he said.
All right.
Plus, doesn't Pacman have caller ID? put my number up.
Yeah.
McInnes on this new show, Free Speech. And I was trying to click out of it right away. And then all of a sudden I saw Dr. Cornell.
I was trying to click out of it right away. And all of a sudden, Dr. Cornell West.
Try to go like, and I was trying to click out of it.
I was trying to click out of it right away.
West and Mark Lamont Hill on the show.
Yeah.
And I actually checked it out, and it's a cool show in regards to just liberals.
In regards to
nailing,
just liberals? That's
Gavin,
me?
and it was so...
Luckily,
just let me pause here. We can go back and forth. You know I never lie. I'm brutally honest. I swear to God. I don't want to swear on my children's lives because I hate when people say that, but I almost would. I swear on a stack of Bibles. I swear on my reputation. I promise you. How about this? I will give anyone $10,000 for evidence that I called into that show. I accept this as a legally binding contract. I promise you, I did not call into that show. I would never watch David Pakman's show. He called me a white supremacist a few years ago, and I just went... And that's another reason I farm out these things, because like I've always thought of David Pakman and Sam Seder and Ana Kasparian as way below me. They've never created anything of consequence. I think Sam has a family. He's probably the only one, and that's something, but I believe he's fucked that up and he's divorced. These people are inconsequential. One tiny part of my life, making videos like this, is their entire careers. They don't have Vice or Proud Boys or Ad Agency or all the restaurants I've started. I'm a very accomplished individual. They're just talking head pundits. So I don't want to disparage them too much because I don't want to lose future liberal guests, but I would never watch David Pakman's show. And I've never, ever seen Sam Seder's show. I've seen a clip on YouTube where he talked to a spam caller. I saw that. I've never sat down and watched any of these shows. I didn't know this show, No Filter, existed. And I've never watched Young Turks. I can't. Sometimes I'll punish myself with CNN or MSNBC, but I barely have enough time for the shows I like. Why would I watch David Pakman's show?
Realized what was going on and detailed McInnes's intentions.
What appears that happened is that knowing that there is a conversation taking place with my manager about will David Pakman appear with Gavin McInnes, Gavin thought, hey, here's an idea. I'll call David as Jim and pretend to be a leftist who really wants to see David appear on Gavin McInnes' show.
Ugh, it's so sad. But McInnes isn't the only person.
Sarah. So they take a stupid theory. By the way, David Pakman would have caller ID. He could see the number. Call it. Like he would see that it's not me. So is he knowingly telling a lie there? Dude, you and Sammy made me $100,000. Judging by the way your hair goes white when you say 5,000, that's way more money than you're going to see in a long ass time. So what exactly is so sad here? Tell me. And here's a little tip, folks at home. If you're going to gloat, make sure you're right. Make sure you're better than the person. Make sure you have more money. Make sure you're more accomplished. Hey, make sure you're smarter than the person that you're looking down on, because he's likely above you.
On the far right, who's trying to trick people into buying into their unearned redemption. Islamophobe conspiracy theorist Lauren Southern, who violently harassed and intimidated refugees by throwing flares at their boats, announced that she was going away for a while and disengaging from politics.
Just pause. Here's Anna trying to say that Lauren Southern is trying to clean up her image by totally retiring and quitting politics. How is that cleaning up your image? That's ending your image. And by the way, Lauren got death threats, was relentlessly harassed. She's had urine thrown on her several times. Name someone else who has been drenched in urine more than once. It's fucking insane. And she's the bitch now? The one drenched in urine is a bitch because she finally gave up. She's a young, pretty girl, and she didn't like being constantly harassed, attacked, violently attacked on a regular basis. She talks about Proud Boys being violent. This woman has been the victim of, or I should say the target of brutal violence again and again and again. And eventually she just had enough. And Anna's take on it is, what a bitch, nice try. Like, this is why I want to get you on shows. I want to discuss shit like this with you because you don't make any sense.
In a blog post, she wrote, quote, "I intend on returning to school and pursuing my academics again. In so doing, I doubt that this will be the last of me. Who knows? Maybe you'll read my name in papers, in journals, or as a byline in articles. The story of my political career may have more chapters one day, but they will not be in the same televised firebrand capacity you've seen before."
Yeah.
Look, clowns like Lauren Southern and Gavin McInnes.
Just pause. Clowns. And speaking of accomplishments, Anna, you go to South Africa and do a documentary about the violence there. You try to stomach the pictures that you see, and you try to make it back alive and not get brutally, I'm not going to say what I was going to say because it would sound like I'm trivializing the violence down there, but Lauren's remarkably brave, and her 2 documentaries alone totally dwarf anything her critics could ever come up with. Like, they're spellbinding. I was bawling my eyes out in her documentaries, well, the South African one in particular. But to call her like this silly, useless, sad bitch who's trying to revamp her image is so beyond false.
Used to be able to go on shows like Dave Rubin's to legitimize and launder their hate.
Just pause. This is the whole crux of this video. To have an open and honest discussion is trying to launder hate. The point of my show is to say that hypothesis is false. I'm saying that these people have legitimate views and some people disagree. Let's have them discuss it in the marketplace of ideas, just like Gore Vidal and William F. Buckley. I'm trying to get back to that common sense decency. I'm not trying to launder hate. All the things I've said, I'm happy to stand by. I'm happy to discuss them with you. I'm discussing them right now. There's no laundering going on. There's no apologies. An apology is a laundering. And you're not seeing any from me. You're not seeing any from Lauren. You're not seeing any from any of these people she's criticizing.
Strategy eventually proved to fail as Rubin's little right-wing laundromat scheme was called out for what it is. Southern hopes to go away for a while and eventually...
Just pause. You know why Dave Rubin became persona non grata? Because he had open and honest discussions. Not that because it was a hate laundromat, because the left doesn't want that because they can't win in the marketplace of ideas. So what they do is they have this one-sided, myopic platform where they make up stories like, say, I called into shows and someone's trying to launder hate, and no one can criticize them because there's no open discussion. So they just make up, it's laundering hate. And Dave Rubin was ostracized for being open. Not for being a Nazi, not for hosting Nazis, but for having open and honest discussions. Free speech is offensive to the left in America today.
Make
That's
a return
fact.
to public life as a new and improved member of independent media who might be more palatable to reasonable people who aren't fueled by their disdain for people of color.
What?
But here's the thing.
Fueled by their disdain for people of color. Is she talking about me and using that Muslims quote? Muslims aren't a race. I'm not a fan of Eastern European Muslims, Chechens, the Sarnev brothers in Boston. Why do you get to make it a racial thing? And when we say the West is the best, the East includes Russia. Russia sucks. The West is the opposite of Russia. Got it? They're white.
That happen. We know who they are. And we know how they've profited off of exploiting racial and religious divisions. People like McInnes and Southern...
Just pause. I have profited off of what you call divisions, but are just open and honest discussions, despite it being the least lucrative thing. Do you understand what I'm getting at here? It's sort of like when someone says, I have to work twice as hard as everyone else because of, let's say, the way that Catholics are seen in Scotland. A Catholic would have to work twice as hard in a Protestant area, or in Northern Ireland. If you were British, you would have to work twice as hard as an Irishman because there's disdain for the Brits there. So a successful Brit in Northern Ireland is basically what I am. I have managed to make money despite getting fired from every single job I've ever had. I'm persona non grata even at Fox News, and I still managed to dust myself off and get back on my feet. After Rooster was killed, I was making zero money doing Free Speech, the podcast at Stand Up New York. Slowly started to accrue people. Then I eventually made it to Rebel where I could make some money. Then I went to Compound, and then I got scooped up by CRTV. Always like a Sisyphusian task, crawling my way back up. When Vice went bankrupt in 2000 because we were run by a pyramid scheme lunatic rich guy. We went to the warehouse of 555 Soul in Williamsburg, which was a dangerous place at the time, and we crawled our way back up. So you dummies keep thinking everything is about just I'm doing the fastest quick rich scheme. That's because you've never made your own money. You're not an entrepreneur. You've never struggled. And that is also why you're broke and totally freaked out by the number 5,000.
Saw dollar signs in pushing hate in the Trump era. And once they were met with
By the way,
few...
just pause. How is it hate to say most women would be happier at home? Is that hate? I understand you're dubious of Muslims thing, but I back that up with data. But is it hate to say most women? Isn't that love? I'm saying most women would love to be loved in a loving marriage. By the way, none of these people are married. Have you noticed that?
Consequences. They decided
Sorry for
to
promoting the families that you can't have.
change their strategy. Can people change? Of course.
No one's
yes,
trying to
they can
change. I'm trying to change America. I'm trying to get the conversation back up. I have no intention of changing. I'm half a century old. What are you going to do? You can change my mind on a certain subject, but you're not going to change my fundamental core. I don't want to change. I don't want mainstream acceptance. I don't want to be invited to MSNBC. I don't want to be on NPR and say, you were right to fire Juan Williams. High five. Can I be part of your crew?
change.
And by the way, the only time I've seen anyone really pushing to totally change their image would be Howard Stern on this recent book tour where he totally shat on free speech and totally licked the ass of celebrity culture, and everyone was disgusted by it. When Howard Stern was on The View, everyone puked. So this phenomenon you're talking about where people want to totally revamp their image and totally change isn't really a thing.
But you have to ask yourself why someone claims to have changed in the first place.
I never claimed
Is it because they genuinely reevaluated their views and came to a different conclusion?
No.
Or is it because rebranding their hateful reputation would help get them accepted back into a society that rejected them? There are so many people in independent media who continue to do the right thing, regardless of how much it might hurt them financially.
Just pause. Sam said yes. The conservative he wanted didn't want to waste time with him. David Pakman said yes. And as far as I know, I didn't deal with any of these people. I'm pretty sure Anna said yes. I don't know what happened with Anna. They go through like hundreds and hundreds of liberals as they all chicken out. They even asked Sean King, if you can believe it, who had a heart attack, just that someone dared to suggest such a horrific thing. But I don't think these three are exactly the stalwarts of refusal.
Is a great way to earn a lot of money, but it's short-term gain.
No, pause.
Allowing these
it's a terrible way to make a lot of money, yet I still managed to do it. Isn't it funny that I can do something so unpopular and make so much more money than you? Can you imagine if I rejected Trump and kissed the left's ass? I'd literally have hundreds of millions of dollars, but I'm willing to handicap myself just so we can play golf together. I'm willing to take a few. If this is a par 5, for me, it's a par 3. For you, it's a par 7. Let's play. Go ahead.
People to act as chameleons and never have to pay the consequences for their actions encourages more of this disgusting behavior.
What?
Look,
trying to get people to talk?
Guy, he gets it.
Desperately needs some lefties on his show.
Yes, correct.
To get back into the community in some way.
What? What community?
To get back into the YouTube.
Just pause. The YouTube, I have 350,000 subscribers. I've been demonetized since forever. I'm never going to get monetized again. And even when I was monetized, like, I guess How to Fight a Baby did well, but I remember getting checks for like $300 a month. It was, you know what I would use it for? It was on PayPal. So I would go on eBay and buy myself some dumb little trinket like a hoof lighter. Ashtray that you can put your joints in. It was never part of my orbit. So what am I trying to get back into?
To get back and be able to be seen as non-toxic.
The zeitgeist.
What zeitgeist are you talking about?
Zeitgeist. He just wants to be... He wants to get normalized.
That's not true.
Exactly.
Dude, just pause. In 1988, I was a singer of the punk band Anal Chinook. I left that band to pursue a career singing for the band Leather Ass Buttfuck. On my back is tattooed a gigantic jellyfish eating Chiang Kai-shek and Fidel Castro with the terms "destruction creates." There's no hope of mainstream going on here. I've never changed. I did Vice. At our 10-year anniversary, we had Japanese puke porn and we were having midget tossing. There's never been a normal moment here. I'm not looking for mainstream. You guys clearly are. And I don't think you're going to get it because you don't seem very good at your jobs.
100% right. And anyone who gets an offer to appear on a show like McInnes's for thousands of dollars should ask themselves why he's willing to pay such a premium. And by the way,
just pause.
Where does he get?
Because I want an open discussion that badly. It's basically a charity. It's basically philanthropy. I am so for free speech. I am spending tons of my money to get an open and honest discussion. I don't attack the guests. I sit back. I'm the bartender. They have it out. And with the Malkin and Dyson argument, I bet a lot of people on the right thought Dyson won. I bet a lot of people on the left thought Malkin won. That's the opposite of mental obesity. I'm trying to have interesting discussions because you very rarely today see the left and the right talking. That right there is the goal of freespeech.tv. That is what we're going for.
Get that money from?
No filter. All bullshit.
So if you enjoyed that clip,
then subscribe to Compound Censored using this promo code.